Your interview with Melania. She is
I am too. It's gonna be fun.
I love her. She's so great. She's so undercovered by the media who just anything connected to Trump, they'll try to trash. But Michelle Obama blinked and she was on the cover of a magazine.
They are mean and abusive to her.
Yeah.
And I have gotten to know her. Smart, lovely, amazing. And I hope America gets to see that tomorrow. It is so unfair what they've done to her.
And I hope she does more of these types of events. I think if and that's not a criticism, but it's a suggestion that the more people get to know her, the more people get to know her, the more they're going to like her. So don't make yourself so scared.
Remember, English is her fifth language, and she is such a success on her own. The best part, and the president was at 49% in his approval rating today. Obviously, all the hysteria of the left isn't working. But her approval ratings are higher. And I have reminded the president of that in the past.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Sean, I can't wait. I'm so glad you're doing that. Give her my best. She's one of my favorites.
And I'll see you in D.C. tomorrow. Have a great show.
Sounds great. All right. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. An Oval Office throwdown where Democrats' pleas for privacy reveal they're losing hand on immigration. Plus, the disgusting origin story of the Radical Women's March. We're going to have a new expose that may imperil some of the Democrats' newest stars. And this story is completely wacko. Vice News is promoting an overseas vacation retreat that bans white people. Yes, it's true. The debate over what can only be described as a new form of voluntary segregation. But first, Guardians of the Fallacy. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The political and media establishment, they've been at war, and a cold war really, with Donald Trump for more than 3 years now. And from the outset, he represented everything they hate, and not just his America First policies, but his brash, take no prisoners style that threatened to crash their exclusive club. But as the Mueller probe and its new New York offshoot come to a head, the media feel well positioned to recast their image from hashtag fake news to galaxy-saving superheroes. Like Batman or Aquaman, they've decided to try a franchise reboot. The first comes courtesy of Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
As we looked at the choices, it became clear that the manipulation and abuse of truth is really the common thread in so many of this year's major stories, from Russia to Riyadh to Silicon Valley. And so we chose to highlight 4 individuals and 1 group who have taken great risks in pursuit of greater truths.
Now, I only caught the last part of what he said when I first saw this, and I thought, oh wow, they're giving it to like China's persecuted Christians? That's amazing. Well, instead, Time Magazine has kept the award kind of inside the family and named a group of journalists as the People of the Year with the understated title, The Guardians and the War on Truth. The group includes slain journalist Jamal Khashoggi and the Capital Gazette staff, which lost members, of course, when a shooter opened fire on their offices. Of course, we love objective journalists, and the targeting of reporters just because they're doing their jobs is despicable. But also, isn't there something kind of transparently self-serving about journalists giving awards to other journalists? Well, now, to his credit and professionalism, Capital Gazette editor Rick Hutzel expressed uneasiness about the recognition. He said, I hate being the story. And he added that this was the first sit-down interview he had done since that June attack. Good for him. By the way, as an aside, later in the show, we will reveal whom we would have picked for Persons of the Year. So stay with us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But by the way, Time isn't the only aging outfit trying to resurrect its damaged reputation. Retired senators are also lumbering back from obscurity to claim the mantle of moral and intellectual superiority. Rising from the political dead, they promise that their wisdom will save us from Trump. You've got to read between the lines. All you need to know, though, was that the op-ed was the brainchild of Trump basher extraordinaire Chuck Hagel and Connecticut liberal Chris Dodd. They said in part, we are on the eve of the conclusion of the special counsel Robert S. Mueller investigation and the House's commencement of investigations of the president and his administration. We urge current and future senators to be steadfast and zealous guardians of our democracy by ensuring that partisanship or self-interest not replace national interest. Well, kind of high-minded malarkey signifying nothing. Look, I will forever salute Chuck Hagel's military service, but that doesn't give him immunity from political criticism that's just kind of brain dead. Where was the bipartisan cabal when we needed guardians of the rule of law and transparency during the Obama years? Fast and Furious, Benghazi, the IRS scandal, the Clinton email cover-up, the horrors at the VA, the green energy boondoggles involving companies like Solyndra, just to name a few. Where were these 44 senators when we needed guardians of our border? Where were they when we needed guardians against the rigged trade deals that empowered a ruthless communist regime in China? And where were they when we needed guardians against activist judges who strayed far, far beyond their Article III powers? Look, Donald Trump ain't perfect. None of us are. None of us is, to be grammatically correct. But he's done more in 2 years to try to safeguard America, the country we love, than all of those senators who signed that op-ed combined. The media and failed politicos are guardians. They're guardians of a fallacy that the American people need protection from their own political choices. The president was duly elected and is entering the third year of his first term. But the media and political establishment are still in denial. Do you notice, by the way, that they've basically given up on substantive debate on any of the issues that Trump is really tackling? Instead, they often prefer personal invective to pragmatic solutions.
The president has very little in the way of attention span. The president is undisciplined.
Secretary Tillerson, called him an effing moron, which, not for nothing, is the highest rank of moron that's achievable. He gets bored after about 15 seconds of even people talking to him.
He doesn't want information. He comes into the job with very little knowledge.
Well, if he's that uninformed, how did he beat all you smart people? That's my question. My friends, populist-style movements are popping up all over the world. They're challenging the old political orders that have failed to raise the standard of living of their own people or to safeguard the culture. Folks aren't mad because they enjoy being mad. They're mad because politicians have screwed things up so badly across the board. But the guardians of the old order, they right now feel empowered by Trump's legal woes and a new Democrat majority in the House.
Call a halt to this. We've come in here as the first branch of government, Article 1, the legislative branch. We're coming in good faith to negotiate with you about how we can keep the government open.
We're going to keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border security, Chuck, we're not going to keep it open.
I'm with you. We are going to have border security.
And it's the same border. You're bragging about what has been done.
By us.
We want to do the same thing we did last year, this year. That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a much bigger section with more money.
Let's debate in private. Okay? Yeah, let's debate in private.
Let's keep all this private. Well, then the media guardians, they jumped in with their questions.
Border security.
What it means to have border security.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need border security. The wall is a part of border security.
We came in here in good faith, and we're entering into this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy.
No,
it's called transparency.
We shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute, and you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it
20 times.
If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what,
disagree.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck.
Well, it's pretty amazing watching this whole thing play out, because by refusing to be cowed by warnings that a partial government shutdown would damage him and his party politically, well, the president is actually doing what the retired senators claim to want. He's standing on principle by acting on the urgent need to preserve the sovereignty and security of our country. And by the way, notice what Pelosi said several times during that very fiery exchange.
The point is that there are equities to be weighed, and we're here to have a conversation in a prayerful way. So I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this.
We would do it immediately. We'd get it passed very easily in the House.
No, that's
We
not-
would get it. That's the problem.
Again, let us have our conversation, then we
That's
can
right.
meet with the press again.
Wait a second. I thought the liberals were all about transparency and protecting the guardians of the truth. But the moment the guardians report on their conversations, Nancy wants them shooed out of the room. This exchange shows in dramatic fashion why Trump has so confounded the establishment. He pulls the veil back, allowing the American people to see just how unreasonable and how petty the Democrats have become. Because an agreement on wall funding may give Trump, I guess, a partial victory, they refuse to budge, even if the DACA kids end up getting a path to citizenship in the process, which they would have gotten last February. And no matter how much a deal would help the country, guess what? The Democrats don't care. Score settling and preventing Trump from declaring victory on something. And that's the angle. Joining me now with a reaction is Raheem Kassam, Lincoln Fellow at the Claremont Institute and author of the new piece, Time's Failing Person of the Year list, a product of cultural decline. David Goodfriend, former aide to President Clinton, is also here, along with Jeffrey Lord, contributing editor to the American Spectator and former aide to President Reagan. Raheem, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the failure of the media and Democrats who can't seem to grasp the current moment. What happened today, for instance?
They love slapping themselves on the back, and the Time magazine cover is just more of them slapping themselves on the back and saying, you know, we are the people that you should all aspire to and that you should all listen to. I mean, you remember when I think it was the Hillary Clinton emails came out and they said, you know, you're not supposed to read this, the public aren't supposed to read it, but we'll filter this for you and you just listen to what we say. And the same thing you saw happening today as well. I mean, imagine that room, imagine the Oval Office, if the roles had been reversed and those were Republicans sitting there and it was a Democrat president, you know, would the press have gone to such great extent as they did today to go, oh, what an absolute mania happened today in the Oval Office. This is unbelievable. It's extraordinary. And they wouldn't have done it. And they never did it under Obama. Remember, Obama used to kick people out of press conferences too. But it only gets reported on when it's President Trump. So for me, you know, the two things couldn't have timed themselves to better together today. The Time magazine front cover and what we saw unfold in the Oval Office. David, here are some of the persons of the year runner-ups. We had Mueller. You can actually make a decent case for Mueller being the person of the year. You had Markle. Let's give a nod to the Brits with Markle. Please don't.
You had Putin. You had Blasey Ford, JN, and then you had, says David Trump on my sheet, but I assume they mean Donald Trump. So, I mean, journalists giving awards to other journalists, I mean, there's lots of heroism out there. We have some ideas coming up later on in the show, but it's a little self-serving, don't you think? And it's part of the bubble of the media and politics, which I'm probably part of. I try not to be, but I'm here, so I'm probably part of it. I'm probably part of the problem.
Well, you invite me on your show, so I like you.
But I like you, so that's okay. We probably like each other. Raheem hates all of us. Jeffrey, we don't even want to talk about late at night. We don't even have a glass of wine on the set.
So I'm going to shock Raheem here and say that I don't often agree with things I read in the Daily Caller. And I don't often agree with what you write, Raheem. However, I do think Bob Mueller would have been an excellent choice. I mean, we have a memo now that names the president as an unindicted co-conspirator. When's the last time that has happened?
They haven't used
we
that
have 33 indictments around the world, not just Americans. We have senior White House staff who have been convicted or
They don't
committed
say
crimes.
unindicted
That's
co-conspirator.
incredible.
Wait a second. Are we supposed to be the guardians of the truth here?
Hold on a second.
They don't say that in the name one place it says that.
It says individual one was working with Cohen.
Don't throw that word
exactly
co-conspirator around, partner.
unindicted
You're a little ahead of
But I
yourself
agree with
there.
you. I agree with you. I think Bob Mueller would have been a fantastic choice because he really has changed the world. Not since Richard Nixon.
Journalists are
have we seen
self-serving.
so
All right, let's go, Jeffrey.
I think that was a good choice. I back Bob Mueller as your suggestion for who should be next.
They're great.
Yeah, we got to get to Jeff.
Great talking points, but put it this way: it says for better or worse people that have impacted the world.
All right.
And Bob Mueller did do that.
I agree.
Well, but when they gave it to Trump, Jeffrey, we don't want to spend all our time on this. When they gave it to Trump, it has to be this snarky comment. This is back in 2016. He shocks the world by winning the presidency. They had to give it to him. You know, they hated to give it to him. For reminding America that demagoguery feeds on despair, that truth is only as powerful as the trust in those who speak it. You know, then the picture of Obama is so like aspirational. Then the picture of Trump is this menacing figure on a wingback chair, like turning around. Trump looks like horror. It's just right down to the photo they select. It's so obvious.
My favorite is that in 2008, when President Obama was elected and was selected as Person of the Year, I'm not kidding you, they compared him to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Seriously. And then we get to Donald Trump, and he's the president of the divided states of America, and he's a demagogue and all of this. I mean, this is what they do. This is why Time Magazine has been sold 3 times, gotten rid of by its parent company, bought by somebody else, who then sold it again a few months after they got it.
Yeah, diminishing readership.
I mean, their audience is going down.
Yeah, this is a shtick. Everyone, the magazines love doing lists because lists always sell. Click, click, click. Oh, 10, top 10. This, the list. It's lazy journalism. Okay, so we got to move to Pelosi because Pelosi reacted after the Oval Office, which you couldn't take your eyes off of. It was wild today. She comes out and she makes a comment about why she was concerned about the transparency of it all. Let's watch.
I will just say this, you want to know if it was more productive behind the scenes. I hear some of the reporters saying, Fox reporters saying, why did we not want transparency in this discussion? We didn't want to contradict the president when he was putting forth figures that had no reality to them, no basis in fact.
Raheem, no basis in fact. I mean, the fact Donald Trump has wanted a wall for more than 3 years. Yeah. He's arguing and fighting for the wall. I guess she's referring to when he said certain sectors have less immigration. I'm not sure whether that was accurate. I never have gotten a read on that. I'm not sure that was accurate or not, but she's not shy about criticizing him ever in public.
For somebody who makes her living by criticizing this president, you'd think she'd want every camera in the room. If she's so certain that he's saying falsehoods, then put all the cameras in the world in the room and get everyone to report on it. It seems utterly bizarre that take it back from sort of partisan politics, but from a campaigning standpoint, which is what she's doing here, you would want that if you believed you were in the right. You only don't want that if you don't believe you're in the right, or that you don't believe that your oratory can cut through with the American people. And I think she gets that.
Again, weren't Democrats always against? Weren't Democrats and a lot of Republicans, at least the populists, were against the backroom deals, the smoke-filled rooms where all the decisions are made and all the people come out afterward and say, "This is how you dumb little people are going to live," because we already made the decisions. Backslapping, we had a beer together, then we were going to tell you how to live. These cameras come in and we actually see what they say when they're a little nervous. You see the body language of Schumer. I loved it from beginning to end. I love seeing them squirm with Trump.
I don't know if it's the British accent or the ascot. I'm agreeing with you so much.
Okay,
we're not making for good television, but I will tell you this. No disrespect to Nancy Pelosi or to Chuck Schumer, but did you notice who was missing? The people actually running the Congress? Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, who are actually running the Congress right now. They are running the lame duck Congress. These people have nothing to do with the final deal.
He needed
to have all of the leaders there, and that's why it was such good television, Laura, because it was staged by Donald Trump.
Wasn't it brilliant for Trump to call them in? I mean, they came into his sandbox.
And Laura, but I'll tell you this, the shutdown is still going to be on here, and we will win elections.
We're going to get to the shutdown. We're getting into the politics of the shutdown and the mechanics of what's going to happen in the next block, but Jeffrey, I think this was classic Trump, taking control of the narrative. It wasn't all clean and perfect, believe me. I mean, I think a couple little things he said I might have said him differently. But he was engaged. He was engaged. He's like, look, we're doing this.
Yes, that's exactly right. And if you notice, you couldn't help but notice Nancy Pelosi's little dig. She says, well, a reporter asked, and then she backs up and says, a Fox reporter asked. Oh, my goodness, heaven forbid that somebody commit journalism in the Oval Office. It's just astounding.
I think we're getting back to the theme of my angle. The guardians of the truth. And when these 44 senators come out, bipartisan, they come out, the big op-ed, and Panetta was one of them. I want to play a little snippet from what he said today with Andrea Mitchell. Let's watch.
We have just seen a perfect example of how not to govern the country. To have that kind of dispute and do it openly before the press at a time when they really do need to sit down and see if there's a way to work out a deal here. But to confront each other that way and to have everybody yelling at one another, I think has just sent a terrible message to the American people about how our democracy functions in Washington.
Does he know his history? How democracy, they were dueling in the U.S. Congress. I mean, democracy is rough and tumble. People are arguing at their dinner tables. It's okay. We're going to survive an Oval Office,
No, I understand. But listen,
discomfort.
don't you think
They're
that there's
worried
a difference
about it.
between theatrics and results? If that debate
had Trump gets results. They do personal invective.
If he shuts down the government, is that a good result?
Yes. I think absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. The majority of Americans, through the polling that just occurred in the election, seem to disagree. So we'll find out again.
Didn't hurt him last time it happened.
Actually, you just lost the House, and actually, you say that's just fine. I agree. That really is what conservatives think. They're like,
2013
we'll just shut it all
shutdown, which was a real shutdown. That didn't hurt the Republicans.
Not everyone has to agree all the time, as you and I have to agree all the time.
Correct.
But there is a goal in mind. That man was elected on that goal, and he's going to do it.
He's got to get that wall built, and it's got to be a wall. It can't be like a patchwork see-through drone. All right, Jeffrey, sorry, we got to go. We'll have a longer segment back. Sorry about that. Since Time Magazine couldn't pick a satisfying person of the year, we're going to do it later on in the hour. Up next, we'll be on the border. Stay there.
White House.
Did you say Trump?
You have the White House. You have the Senate. You have the House of Representatives. You have the votes. You should pass it.
But I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House we can get passed very easily, and we do. But the problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote, and they won't vote.
Now, Pelosi challenged the president and Republicans in the House, and they might call her bluff. House Republicans said late today they will try to pass a $5 billion funding bill for the wall. This would be a stunning rebuke of Nancy Pelosi. And my question is, would a shutdown put pressure on Schumer to cough up the Democratic votes needed to avoid a filibuster? For answers, we're joined by House Majority Whip Steve Scalise and former acting head of ICE and Fox News contributor Tom Homan. Congressman, was this part of a coordinated plan? Was this all planned out, or was this the president kind of shooting from the hip on his own instincts?
Well, Laura, this is the president saying, I'm going to call you on your bluff. You know, you want to talk about shutting down the government. You want to talk about blocking border security. I'm going to bring you into the White House and lay out exactly why we need to secure the border. And frankly, President Trump laid out a lot of real important specific details why it's important that we secure the border. The illegal crossings that happen every single day, 10 known terrorists, according to Homeland Security, on average, that come across our border every day. In the caravan, over 600 convicted criminals that are part of that caravan. We need to secure the border. President Trump ran on securing the border. It's time we back him up on it.
Tom, look, you've been in the fight and the thick of this for so long, and I frankly, I said this on radio this morning, I cannot believe we're here.
No,
the country this is a crisis at our southern border. Toxic environmental mess, health crisis, humanitarian. Little kids' lives are being endangered down there. Human trafficking, drugs, guns, all the rest, gang activity. And that's just getting started.
Yeah, I've said it over and over again. Look, I don't care for Republican or Democrat. There's no downside on securing our border. It means less illegal immigration, which means you don't bankroll the criminal organizations that have killed our officers. And there's less illegal immigration, less drugs, less illegal immigration. I don't see the downside. The only thing I wish Trump would have asked Schumer on camera, well, you voted for 2006 border barrier. What changed other than the anti-Trump agenda?
Yeah, Kellyanne Conway made that point earlier, and others. I mean, Obama, all these guys spoke so passionately about the need to have this fence, but now Trump says it's a wall, and oh, no, we only got to give a pittance of the money. By the way, Jackie Speier, Congressman, spoke out today. I want to share it with you. Let's watch.
He could set up that opportunity to test out his theory that he has the votes. I don't think he has the votes in the House. He's acting like he's a cornered animal, and he lashes out. That's not the description of any president that I want in charge of our country.
Okay, let me go back to the point I made in the last segment. Rather than offer a substantive menu of solutions here, it is personal invective. It is Trump is this, Trump is that, he's a dictator. And you should hear what she said. There's no solutions. They're not going to argue about how we're going to do it better, or we actually have a plan for reforming asylum laws that's really going to cut the flow. It's Trump's a bad person. Is she right, though? Do you have the votes?
Oh, well, Laura, first of all, there is strong support in the House.
You have the votes.
For securing the border and giving the president
what
the
does that mean? You have the votes for the wall.
So if the president says $5 billion is what I need, and Ideally, you try to get an agreement with the Senate, and that means you have to have some Democrats as part of that agreement. But if not, we can pass it in the House. We've been trying to get an agreement with the Senate because ultimately to get the bill to the president's desk has been the objective, not just to pass a bill in the House, but ultimately we can pass a bill in the House. The president's saying, I'll at least meet with Senate Democrats and House Democrats to see if we can get an agreement. The president is trying to get an agreement to solve the problem. I think what you're seeing right now, and today it was on display in the White House, Washington Democrats want open borders more than they want.
They don't want to give him a win. Isn't that a big part of this?
That's a big part of it.
He could have solved this last January and February about during the other mini shutdown when the president said, "Give me the chain migration cuts, the visa lottery." We wanted to verify that.
And Chuck Schumer initially agreed to all of those things, and then the radical left is the ones who went and kind of blew the whole deal up.
President also said something about the wall and its current state that made me curious. Let's watch.
A lot of wall has been built. We don't talk about that, but we might as well start because it's being built right now, big sections of wall, and we will continue that.
I must have missed the wall being built. What wall? Where's it being built, Tom?
Well, I think what it means they're upgrading certain parts of the wall.
That's not a wall. Stop saying it's a wall. There's no wall. If you want a wall, say we don't have the wall, and I know it's bad because he made the promise, but they're not building the wall. Right. So you got to stop saying that. That undercuts. He was great. I thought he was great in the Oval Office. You don't have to.
It was great, but you understand there is about 100 miles of wall being built, but that's not anywhere near where we need to go to get this job done. So there's a small start. But there's a lot more.
There's not a lot of the wall. But it's it was 1,600 miles.
It's not even.
It's not a wall.
It's not the wall that Border Patrol wanted, right?
No.
The Border Patrol they have Rangers that
someone's telling them
trying to penetrate that wall. The wall they want is the one they need and the one they should be funded. That's not what was funded in the last bill.
And they also want the technology and the tools to keep our Border Patrol agents. And you've seen this, Laura. You've highlighted it.
Yeah.
Our Border Patrol agents are under attack by a lot of the criminals in this caravan. We need the tools to keep our Border Patrol agents safe, who are keeping America safe. That's part of this fight as well.
But I still say if we don't reform those asylum laws, people pouring in on those asylum.
And oh, by the way, every single member of the caravan was offered asylum by Mexico and work permits by Mexico, and they turned it down.
We've got to keep the pressure on the Democrats. They're on the wrong side of this, and the American people are with the Republicans.
American people want border security. Let's go get it.
You hit the nail on the head when you said this is the anti-Trump agenda. They don't want to give him a win. Look, you got Schumer and Pelosi. Both support sanctuary policies in their states. So they want a sanctuary policy to keep illegal aliens in, but they don't want to fund a wall to keep them out. You got two of the worst people in the Oval Office even talking about border security. They put their political futures ahead of this country's security, which is their number1 responsibility. Shame on them.
California and New York.
Yeah, they entice people to come here illegally because Trump
IDs in New York City. He gives them all the ideas. They get whatever they want. They get their IDs and they get their ability to work. No problem.
Absolutely. Come to New York City or come to California. You get to a sanctuary state. We won't work with ICE. Welcome.
Well, demonize ICE. Guardians of the Galaxy?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. All right, guys, thank you so much. Great to see you. And coming up, we've warned you about the deep hatred at the root of the Women's March. You know, they have another Women's March coming up soon in the new year. We have an expose that looks into their shocking origins and the Democrats that it puts at risk. Don't miss this.
I know we will rise to the challenge, and I know we will keep fighting no matter what.
All right, welcome to Hannity on this breaking news night. Let's go back to November 8th, 2016. You, we the people, shocked the world. You voted for a fighter, for a disruptor, someone who will battle hard to keep promises that he made to you, and someone who will stand up to Washington, the establishment, smash through government bureaucracy, and actually get things done. And it's working. Well, tonight, President Trump is on offense, determined to fund the wall on our southern border that he promised. He is now holding congressional Democrats accountable in a very public way. And yep, fighting for what he promised you. Now, coming up, we're going to show you how Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, while they're playing petty partisan politics, President Trump is determined to protect the American people. We're going to play you the tape from today's contentious, well, you might want to call it Trump beatdown, and explain why the blithering idiots leading the Democratic Party are way out of their league tonight. Plus, we'll review the president's plan for much-needed criminal justice reform. And I have a message for deranged New York Times hack Paul Krugman, who's literally saying the United States of America, our country, is part of the axis of evil. It was a really bad day for Michael Avenatti and Stormy Daniels, as she has now been ordered to pay nearly $300,000 for President Trump's legal bills. All right, stay tuned. And we have a huge announcement at the end of the show. But first, it's time for tonight's breaking news, well, Trump beatdown opening monologue. Let's be honest, border security is a deadly serious issue. Look at this. According to the Center for Immigration Studies, since 2001, 15 suspected terrorists, they've been apprehended at our southern border, including Islamic extremists from Al-Shabaab, the Taliban, ISIS. The true number of terrorist-related crossings is, of course, classified, likely much higher. And meanwhile, over 25,000 other known criminal immigrants have been arrested since 2016. This includes over a dozen murderers, 370 convicted sex offenders, and nearly 5,000 individuals convicted of illegal drug or weapons charges. Now, of course, I would tell you the vast majority of people that want to cross the border illegally probably are people that want a better life for themselves and their families. But even illegal immigrants with the best intentions, they are costing we, the taxpayers, an enormous amount of money. According to a recent study, every illegal immigrant that successfully crosses our border costs you, the American people, $70,000 a year. And on December 3rd, over 3,000 people were caught illegally crossing in just one day. In November, a 2-year-old toddler was found crossing the border without her parents. We must have the ability to decide who comes into our country, to ensure the safety on both sides of the border, to vet people, to make sure they can take care of themselves. So now more than ever, we need a massive wall. It's a common sense strategy that actually works, keeping potential terrorists, those that are criminals, human traffickers, drug traffickers, out of this country, illegals. That's a national security issue. The president has long promised now to build that wall, and now he's fighting to do just that. He's fighting for what's right. Now, he fought hard. This is his history for tax cuts. He gave us the largest tax cuts in history. He fought for new trade deals, and he's winning on that front. He fought back against Obama's endless bureaucratic regulations, and he's created an environment for businesses that are now thriving. He's fought for energy independence, and for the first time this week, in 75 years, we are energy independent. He fought for the confirmation of qualified, originalist justices, and he's won. And now he's fighting for the wall on our southern border in a big way and confronting Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, for playing politics with what is the safety and security of every American citizen. Take a look.
I'd like not to see a government closing, a shutdown. We will see what happens over the next short period of time. But the wall is a very important thing to us. I might put it a different way. Border security is extremely important. And we have to take care of border security. When you look at what happened with the caravans, with the people, with a lot of, we shut it down. We had no choice.
I believe the Vatican has a great responsibility here.
It could
that
be
it
a lot
hasn't.
easier if we had real border security.
You have the White House, you have the Senate, you have the House of Representatives, you have the vote. You should
people
pass
that
We don't
choose
have the vote,
dollars
because in the Senate
who
we
are
need
actually
60
No,
votes.
but in the House.
And we don't
you
have
could bring it right
1600.
now
Yeah, but I
today.
can't.
noon on the
excuse
West
me, But I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House we can get passed very easily.
Having the
Okay,
flexibility
we do.
to-
But the problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote,
No,
and
no, that's
they
not
won't
the
vote.
problem.
Nancy,
We'll find out.
Nancy, we need border security. Very simple. We need border security.
Don't miss
People
Live
are pouring
PD.
into our country,
New
including
episode
terrorists.
tomorrow.
We have
And new
terrorists. We've got
episodes
10
every Friday and
terrorists over the
Saturday.
last very short period of time. 10. These are very serious people. It's Our being built border right now, agents, big sections of
Oh.
wall. All wall. of our law enforcement has been incredible what they've done. But we caught 10 terrorists. These are people that were looking to do harm. We need the wall. We need, more important than anything, we need border security, of which the wall is just a piece. But it's important.
You just say my way or we'll shut down the government. We have a proposal that Democrats and Republicans will support to do a CR that will not shut down the government. We urge you to take
And
it.
if it's not good border security, I
It
won't
is
take
very
it.
good border
And if it's
security.
not good border security, I won't take it.
It's what the
Because when
board,
you look at these numbers of the effectiveness of our border security, and when you look at the job that we're doing
you
with
just
our
said it is
military,
effective.
can I tell you something?
Yeah, you just said it's
without a
effective.
wall, these are only Areas where you have the walls.
We want to do
where
this.
you have walls, Chuck, it's effective. Where you don't have walls, it is not effective.
We came in here in good faith, and we're entering into this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy.
No,
it's called transparency.
I know it's not transparency when we're not stipulating to a set of facts, and when we want to have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts without.
You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government.
20 times you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my wall. None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my...
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I
We
am
disagree.
proud, and I'll
We
tell you what,
disagree.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck.
Wow. Chuck couldn't even look him in the eye. Now, tonight we have some breaking news. Fox News has confirmed that House Republicans are now considering putting a $5 billion funding the wall bill up for that vote that Nancy Pelosi wants, and they'll still fund the government at current levels. Now, this bill would prove Nancy Pelosi wrong and then put Senate Democrats in a pretty precarious position. Either fund the wall or they will shut down the government. By the way, if you're a Republican in Congress and you vote no, I will tell you right now, we will be highlighting your name and your record and holding you all accountable. This is about our nation's security. It's about stopping drug traffickers and human traffickers. It's about safety for the American people. None of this seems to matter to the left, and yet again, they're on the wrong side of what is a monumentally important issue. Look at this. According to a Harvard-Harris poll, a majority of Americans, they support the president, the wall on our southern border. 79% support a merit-based immigration system. 79% want more secure borders. 61% say the current border security is inadequate. And 68% want an end to the visa lottery system. Now, Democrats don't want to listen to the American people. Maybe they should just listen to themselves, because they're such hypocrites. In the Obama years, they sounded a lot like Donald Trump, and we've got the tape to prove it. Take a look.
I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally. The American people will never accept immigration reform unless they truly believe that their government is committed to ending future illegal immigration.
Those who enter our country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law. And because we live in an age where terrorists are challenging our borders, we cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked.
Oh, how times have changed. They all sounded like little baby Donald Trumps. Now, we've warned you for a long time. Now Democrats, now they want open borders, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states. They even want to get rid of ICE and all the hard work that they do all together. But remember, they want to keep this agenda hidden, which is exactly, was one of the more fascinating moments during that exchange with the president that went on 11, 12 minutes today. They kept urging the president over and over, can we talk privately? Please, please, you're killing us. Sure a sign, by the way, they know that they were out of touch with the American people. Can we please do this privately? Pretty please. Take a look.
The point is that there are equities to be weighed. And we're here to have a conversation in a prayerful way, so I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this. Again, let us have our conversation, and then we can meet with the press again.
That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a much bigger section with more money.
Let's debate in private. Okay? Yeah, let's debate in private.
We came in here in good faith, and we're entering into this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy. It's called transparency.
And let us have a conversation where we don't have to contradict in public the statistics that you put forth, but instead can have a conversation about what will really work.
No, let's have the conversation in public so we can all see where you really stand. Instead of working towards a solution, you see it. Democrats playing politics and literally commencing with their favorite activity, bashing Trump, including now, moments after that tense exchange in the White House. Watch this.
The Trump shutdown is something that can be avoided, that the American people do not need at this time of economic uncertainty, people losing jobs, the market in a mood, and the rest. It's a luxury. The Trump shutdown is a luxury the American people cannot afford.
If he sticks to his position for a $5 billion wall, he will get no wall.